we explore the truth of the eye symbol, unravelling its evolution from its ancient roots in early civilization as the Eye of Horus to its modern portrayal within religious and occult circles, hiding in plain sight as the Eye of Providence, aka the all-seeing eye. When we first meet a person, our eyes are subconsciously drawn to their eyes, which forms a connection. Maintaining eye contact is an expression of confidence and even dominance, as much as a communication tool as conveying body language. It's no surprise that eyes have always held a highly symbolic and important meaning within humanity, since we first became conscious.
Eerie. Really eerie.
The expression "the eyes are the window to the soul" is not far off the mark, as eyes can elude intent, pain or suffering. This is observed for a wide range of emotion, such as soldiers who are shell-shocked, showing an empty, somewhat traumatized gaze, or even psychopathic serial killers, giving a cold, predatory glare. The symbol of the eye can evoke all manner of human emotions depending on the form it takes.
The eyes, Chico, they never lie.
The eye symbol makes an appearance as far back on cave paintings. One of the oldest known recorded and famous forms this took place in was in ancient Egypt, with the Eye of Horus. Many pharaohs were buried with the symbol for protection in the afterlife, representing well-being, aid and good fortune. Referred to in ancient Egyptian mythology as the Wijat eye, this even has its own hieroglyphic symbol. It represents one of the key figures in the ancient Egyptian collective of gods and goddesses, Horus, in which his nemesis, the god of the underworld, Set, tore this out during a conflict, blinding him in one eye. This was then given as a sacrifice to Horus's father, Osiris. This is a common theme in mythology, occurring again in Norse mythology, with the god Odin, who sacrificed an eye for a stronger, more divine understanding of the universe. In ancient cultures, eyes have always held an important significance and meaning of greater wisdom. In some ancient funeral rituals, painted stones or coins were given for eyes, which they believed would give them sight to pass through safely on to the afterlife. This was particularly true with the Eye of Horus, that played a large part in the Egyptian funeral rites, offering these ceremonies as well as healing procedures, and also being placed on the actual coffins to ward off and protect against evil. The Egyptologist Richard H. Wilkinson suggested the Wijat Eye of Horus was modelled on a cheetah's eye, in which he claimed the ancient Egyptians heavily associated the cheetah with the night sky due to the many spots on their coat, comparing it to stars in the sky, while others believed it was modelled on a falcon's eye, looking similar in shape and features. This all helps to uncover the mystical minds and importance of the reverence of the eye symbol by our ancestors through the ancient tales and depictions they shared. We also see this in other similar important symbols, such as the Greco-Turkic evil eye symbology. In today's varied collective of esoteric teachings, it's theorized that the third eye lies between our two physical eyes, granting humans a self-described source of spiritual sight or sensitivity to a connected consciousness. Many people link the third eye with the symbology of the Eye of Horus, believing the ancient Egyptians used this symbol as a representation of the power of the third eye, which they celebrated as a source of all knowledge and power. In modern times, people believe the pineal gland, which heavily matches the Eye of Horus in shape, to be our third eye. Some scientists admit they do not fully understand the purpose of this gland, although accepting it as a hormonal dispenser for melatonin, the sleep-inducing hormone, which some say this gland directly plays a part in dreaming within our subconscious, a direct way to enter the astral plane to some, feeding into the mysticism of ancient Egyptian knowledge that is still revered and held sacred by many.
The Egyptians worshipped the human eye, and they worshipped the eye because they knew the eye was the thing that paid attention. Like, we're really visual creatures, and your eye is automatically attracted to the things that manifest themselves or shine forth in front of you.
Nicknamed the mind's eye, the third eye is also referred to as the Ajna chakra, which is claimed to improve awareness, perception and spiritual communication. This particular subject will be explored in further detail, deserving its own separate video, so make sure you hit the subscribe button to not miss out. Centuries later, the eye symbol has been revamped, shifting from ancient depictions to more recent history, appearing in the form of the Eye of Providence, nicknamed the All-Seeing Eye. A triangle is usually included behind the eye, which is theorized to represent the divine trinity behind the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit in Christianity. In the earliest known depictions, the triangle was usually behind the portrayal of God or Jesus, rather than the eye, which was perhaps updated with just an eye to fit a more effective, striking, and symbolic representation of this. One of the earliest known appearances of the symbol is a 1525 Italian Renaissance painting, which the Eye of Providence can be seen watching over Jesus Christ. It's been suggested the eye here represents the all-seeing eye of God, God's divine view and watchfulness over humanity. In early Christian writings, taken directly from the Bible and other religious texts, the eye makes a few different references, with one scripture stating, "For the eyes of the Lord are upon the righteousness," showing its symbolic importance in religion. In other areas of religion, it's the seraphim, the ancient angel figures, which are often depicted as having many eyes on the wings and across their celestial body. It's believed in some religions that should the standard angelic beings ever appear, they would more likely take this form, a jumbled up to the human eye, difficult to decipher entity, rather than a flying, graceful humanoid with big white, fluffy wings. It was the Freemasons, the secret society, who teach or even believe in the Eye of Providence is a representation of what they refer to as a supreme architect, the self-confessed, all-seeing eye of a supreme being. Naturally secretive within their beliefs, this opens the floodgates to all sorts of interpretation and ideas, although the critics say just builds on religious Christian symbology. The Freemasons adopted this symbol as early as the 1770s and often make reference to the divine gaze of a higher power, being shown with rays of light around the eye symbol. The Eye of Providence, depicted here on top of the American dollar, links to the fact that some of the United States founding fathers, such as George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, and James Monroe, were all documented Freemasons. However, the initial seal was rejected 3 times before being settled on the eye symbol, being referred to different artists or members of the committee to establish and settle on the seal. Certain academics have cited that the Freemason use of the Eye of Providence on the dollar has no religious implications whatsoever, and the symbol on the dollar is simply used to embody hope for the nation's people to encourage prosperity, but the esoteric mystical connotations cannot be overstated or brushed over.
Is that a gang sign? Have you, Oh, like you don't know what it is.
The symbol can often be found on the side of Masonic lodge clubs, but also widely on American and European architecture too. When discussing the ever-changing symbology and icons, meaning and representations, this can always be twisted or even evolve through time into very different things from what it was intended to be. Somebody's interpretation of a painting or other art forms can be vastly different to another person's perspective, or even the opinions from an entire different era in history. Some historians believe the Eye of Providence was directly adopted from the Eye of Horus, taken from the ancient Egyptian mythology and symbolism. Various academics have proposed that the Eye of Horus represents the hierarchy of the Egyptian ruling class, which provides a link to why the founding fathers of America drew heavily on this, using it for inspiration for the dollar bill seal. Academics again theorized on behalf of the founding fathers that the true meaning of the pyramids on the dollar is to symbolize being resilient and weathering the future, as the pyramids have done so, surviving through the ages. The counter-arguments say this is blatant Masonic or esoteric iconography, a symbol that is out in plain sight, traded daily through the nation's legal tender, representing ancient occult wisdom and knowledge, a notion with the closed-off and secretive Freemasons are claimed to collectively adhere to. Others point out that the pyramid has 13 layers, representing the 13 original colonies of the United States of America, and conspiracy theories claim that when the top is connected to the body of the pyramids, it will symbolize a complete new order. It's worth remembering that the Eye of Providence symbol was also used on the French Revolution document, the Declaration of the Rights of Man, again being used in a supreme divine form, as symbolically displayed on the very top in important events in recent history by members of a newly formed ruling class at significant times and events in history. The actual Latin text on the US dollar translates to a new order of the ages, secret societies, or a symbolic meaning of a new nation. Whether you believe in the conspiracy theory of a secret Illuminati-type society, slowly controlling and manipulating the world events through media and banks,
I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret symbol of the Illuminati.
or the very real Freemasons, a private club for influential members of society, the Eye of Providence has a strong attachment to both groups, both in fiction and reality. The writer George Orwell uses the watching eye as a symbol used for a dystopian nightmare society in the infamous book titled 1984, for the year it takes place in, where a controlling authoritarian government maintains absolute power over the individual in a mass surveillance state through the constant propaganda, monitoring, and foreign wars. This foretelling perspective of the future is not too distant. London now has the award of being the highest ranked surveillance city per capita outside of China. Even online, we are now tracked, monitored and watched with the recording of our data and cookies for commercial profit-driven purposes or even government records, like various infamous leaks have revealed within the USA. Not to go off on a tangent about 21st century privacy, but the symbolic gesture of the ever-watching eye is just as alive and real today as it was written about back then. This shows us just how far the symbol of the watchful eye has become associated with sinister themes rather than the ancient, reassuring, positive connotations. The eye will continue to remain a symbol of this higher power and connection with something more eternal due to its centuries-old religious adaptations and embodiment. We must remember the eye symbol's humble origins when considering its tarnished association that the Eye of Providence has with tyranny, secrets, and mysticism. Another similar comparison to make of corrupted symbols is that of the swastika, an ancient Buddhist and Hindu symbol taken by the Nazi Party in their propaganda efforts before World War II, tapping into the importance and power symbols have over the collective society, transforming the meaning of this in such a controversial way it's still not recovered from, remaining to be banned outright in many countries, signifying how deep symbology can go in the status quo and identification of related ideas, movements, and meaning. Symbols hold power in our cultures and beliefs. The eye through history has took on different meanings and depictions, and will have much more of a threatening, dangerous interpretation with the all-seeing eye than someone who doesn't bat an eyelid to a superstitious symbol being displayed on the US dollar banknote, or simply sees it just for its former religious significance or links with ancient mythology. Eye symbols are rich, powerful, and diverse, and continues to be one of the most insightful icons of all human history that changes and morphs with our culture, society, and beliefs. Who knows what the eye symbol will be used to signify or symbolise in our not too distant future, depending on the group, institution, or organisation that decides to adapt it next. Only time will tell. Let me know in the comments what first comes to mind when these symbols are viewed, whether any of the conspiracy theories, religion, mythology, or esoteric connotations pop up. This is Blue Moon, Mysteries Explained.